Okay. Let me start off by saying tonight's class is not for everybody. We're not going to do any combos tonight. We're not going to do anything along those lines. We train on bobs. We train on heavy bags. We train on people. But what most people don't realize is that hitting somebody hurts. There's no other way around it. When you strike another object, you're going to feel it. There's no way around that. Like for instance, most people don't realize this. Did you know that when you stretch, it hurts? If you really, really work on your splits, it hurts. That hurt never goes away, ever. This is scientific here, what I'm talking about. Google it if you don't believe me. That pain is there always. Yes, you get more flexible and it doesn't hurt as much, but that pain is still there. Your brain has just learned how to deal with it. And unfortunately, that's the part of training that a lot of people don't deal with, is the pain. Let me backtrack a little bit. This class is not for the kiddos. I'm not saying don't watch, but none of these drills are for you. No. Sorry, my little one's being loud. Go. Okay, yeah, we've been in a hot building all day, so he's a little bit antsy. Anyway, this is not for the kiddos. Do not try these exercises, these drills, these conditionings at home on your own. There are severe repercussions to what can happen. For instance, kids are like weeds. They grow from the end of the bone out. Why does that matter? If you're doing one of these conditioning drills and you damage a growth plate, that's it. There's no fixing that. So you could literally end up one arm long, one arm short. So these drills are not for you. Adults, practice these drills slowly. Never try to run these full speed right off the bat. This type of training takes years. I'm going to refer to the movie Kickboxer, the original, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Kicking bamboo trees and all that fun jazz. That is not something you can do overnight. You were to go out and try that now, chances are you would break your shin bone right in half. Everything we're about to do tonight, you need to ramp up slowly. So, what am I talking about? Pain. When you hit an object, it hurts. A lot of people make fun of karate practitioners because we hit boards. And what's the old saying? Boards don't hit back. Yeah, boards don't hit back. What they do supply you with is a little bit of pain. And the last thing you want is in the middle of a self-defense scenario is to punch something or somebody and that pain be a surprise to you. Even if it only puts you off by a couple milliseconds. Millisecond is the difference between I don't go home to my kid and I get to tuck him in at night. So, we're going to start slowly. And I train with this all the time because the second he saw me get this out, he goes, hey, are you working your forearms and shins tonight? Yes, we are. Forearms are very important to train. That's what I'm predominantly blocking with. A lot of crowd practitioners teach, like defense against a stick, blocking here. You have a lot of meat right here. So it's not going to hurt as bad as, say, stick to bone. But see, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. It doesn't hurt. You're right. But look at the way the bone is shaped. I got two bones that run like this. And if I am blocking here, I'm exposing both of those bones. Whereas blocking here, I'm stacking those bones. And it's the whole adage, you take a stick and you break it and it won't break. You take two sticks and it gets harder and harder and harder. And that's what I want to do, is I want to stack those bones to make it harder to block. Now, what am I doing when I do toughening drills, toughening exercises? Like here. And it's simple. You look at bone underneath a microscope, and it is, and it looks like cotton candy. It's filled with holes, very porous. And what I'm doing when I do things along this line is I'm creating micro fractures in the bone. Micro fractures. And what that does is when those bones heal, they grow back thicker. Like for instance, ribs break at around 740 pounds, okay, on average. Floating rib, of course, is going to break a lot less than, say, your upper ribs. But professional MMA fighters, their ribs are going to break closer to like 950. Now, why is that? Because they've spent years taking kicks to the ribs, and the bone has just gotten that much more dense. So it's a lot harder to break. So this is something that literally takes years and years of practice. You know, don't do these drills more than 2, maybe 3 times a week. And when you do them, go light. It doesn't take a whole lot of damage. Like I said, we are creating micro fractures. I don't want to do damage to the point where I can't continue training. Because if you do too much at once and get, say, let's say a bone bruise, I don't know if anybody's ever had one of those, I'm gonna let you know, they are miserable. Because you are down for weeks. Weeks. So that's weeks that you don't get to continue training. I won't ever forget. A lot of people hate doing the 360 drills with me because I do exercises like this. And I have really tough forearms. But I got the privilege to train with Grandmaster Bastille, one of Bruce Lee's students, and our 360 crowd drills, oh my God. I mean, we're talking like 20, 30 seconds and I had to tap out. His bone, I mean, his nickname was the Iron Dragon for a reason. I mean, his forearms were like steel. So, I mean, once again, going back to a Tuesday night's class, good defense is a strong offense. So let's start with forearms. Stick. This is my go-to drill. You don't have a stick? Sorry, I have a kiddo around, so he runs off with all my things. You don't have a stick? A little piece of a 1/2 inch, 1 inch PVC pipe will work. Okay, but it's just this. Here. Work the whole bone. And like I said, you don't have to go super hard just to get a sting going on. Just to get a sting going on. And work it for, say, 25, 35 seconds to a minute. And then when you're done with that side, go to the other side. And work both sides. Sorry. And work both sides. You want to work them pretty much, pretty even, consistently across the board. You don't want to be, have your right arm super dense and your left arm made of glass. Okay, and then when you're done, you can go back to the other side. 2, 3 sets, and you're golden. Like I said, we're not bashing these into our forearms. Just like taps. Just like taps. You want to, like I said, create those microfractures, but not enough to like bruise the bone or to even bruise you. You just want the bone to feel it, okay? Another way to practice this is get a chair. 2 chairs would be better. 2 chairs would be better. Put your rod there. Take your forearm, knife edge down, and just slide it back and forth, back and forth. Feeling that bone grind across that wood. Back and forth. I mean, you can do it standing up too, but I just don't feel it this way. If I'm going to do this, I want to be able to feel it. Okay? Like I said, make sure you work both sides evenly. That's forearms. Now, shins. Shins are probably one of my favorite places to work. The main reason being is I block with mine. I won't ever forget, I was testing for my red belt-ish, somewhere around there as an adult, and I was sparring this 16, 17-year-old kid, and we both jumped the line. Second they say kumite, boom, we're both in there throwing our kicks. The problem is he was doing the same thing. So we kept striking shin to shin to shin. It was not pleasant. Anyway, when we were done, I looked down at my white gi pants and my pant legs were all red. I was like, ah, crap, I busted them open. So I slowly roll up my pant leg, nada. Because this is the type of training that I do. But he didn't, so I busted up his leg in a couple of spots. So this training is not to be taken lightly. Once again, have a seat. You can do this from a chair. Same concept. Tapping it up and down, up and down. And like I said, we're not bashing our legs. We're not kicking banana trees. We're just starting the process. Okay, and when you feel like, you know what, that's pretty much it, can't really take any more, go a little bit more. I'm just kidding, you can switch legs. You can switch legs. And then go to the other side. Go to the other side. Now, once again, half inch PVC pipe, 1 inch PVC pipe will work. I'm not a huge fan of that because it has a little bit too much bounce and I just don't feel it as much. So make sure that you're hitting the whole area. You don't want to just focus on one area and just get a big knot there. You want to work the whole bone up and down. So you're striking all the way up and down. Once again, you can roll up the pant leg, up and down the leg, up and down the leg. Really feeling it grind on that shin bone. When you're done with that side, move to the other side. Grinding it up and down the shin bone. Once again, this is not for everybody. If this is not your cup of tea, it doesn't have to be. You can still be effective at self-defense without doing any of these drills. But I like the scientific method way of fighting. Eliminate the variables. There's already 1,000,001 variables in a fight. I mean, we're talking anything from terrain to opponent size, speed, weather conditions, sun. There's 1,000,000 things in a fight that we got to take into account. My ability to take a blow and not lose concentration, that's one less variable that I have to worry about. So that is why I personally do these drills, do these techniques. So, once again, just up and down. Do this with a broomstick, tapping. And like I said, then when you feel like you can't take any more, you felt like you've hit the entire area, switch, do it on the other leg again. Like I said, 2 to 3 sets is all we're looking for. 2 to 3 sets. Like I said, 2-3 times a week is more than enough. You need to give your body time to train. Or, sorry, time to relax, time to holy crap, my mind just went blank. Time to heal, time to recover. Because if you don't, those microfractures that you are creating are going to get bigger. And bigger to the point where you can no longer effectively do this type of training. And then you can go to the point where you can't even hit a bag anymore. And that's the last thing that we want. Good, now let's move on. We've done forearms. We're going to do forearms here in a minute for another one of my favorite drills. And the next drill that one's probably my favorite drill. But we've done forearms and we've done shins. And with all of my massive amount of talking, we're only 15 minutes in. You can knock out all these drills in say a 5-10 minute time frame. And you get to move on with your day. And I promise you, over the course of a year, you'll be a rock. Knuckles. Knuckles are another under-trained area. We use. Hardly do we ever train and hit solid objects. So one of the easiest ways to train this is a simple push-up. It's so funny. Last episode, I talked about this kid, And I'm talking about him again, Justin De La Cruz. If you're watching this, Justin, we miss you. But there was a push-up competition at the rodeo one year, and he went. And once again, you know, they do these push-ups, and they were in the gravel and everything. And this kid, he was like 10, 12 at the time, he hopped down and got into knuckle push-ups. They're like, whoa, man, you don't need to do that. You can just do, he goes, no, this is the way we do them. But once again, knuckle push-ups is a great way to train them. You know, really focus on laying on those edges of those knuckles, the striking area. Okay, really focus on those knuckles and go all the way down and up. But what you really need to be focusing on, sorry, those mats make my knuckles black, is that area right here. This is where you want to work on the conditioning. No, right here. I hope you can see that because there's like a 35-second delay in the video. So I don't know if my hand's even in a frame right now. But this area is where you want to be focusing on. Okay? Let's say the push-ups are a little bit too much for you. Let's say the push-ups are a little bit too much for you. Do the same thing, except on a wall. On a wall. So you can step back from the wall, hands out in that position, get in a nice comfortable position. So once again, those knuckles are the ones hitting, and you can do push-ups here, focusing on taking the entirety of your weight on those two knuckles. Okay? When you get a little bit more proficient at it, step a little bit further away. Fall into the wall. Catch yourself on those same knuckles. Catch yourself on those same knuckles. Now, I wouldn't advise doing this on a cinder block wall unless it's very smooth texture. Those rocks eat into it, but to each their own. That's one way to train knuckles. Another way to train knuckles is simple. There's a little canvas bag. You can put whatever you want into this thing. You could go to the convenience store and buy a bag of deer corn. Deer corn is great for this. And for the elbow drill that we're going to do in a little bit, deer corn works for that. What are they? Nylon bag? Not nylon. I don't know, those fiber bags that they store deer corn in are great. They hold up. But mine is filled with BBs. You don't have to go away fill yours with BBs. But another way to train those knuckles is very simple. Is you stand in front and just punch the bag. Once again, we are not trying to break the chair. We're not trying to punch with all we have. We're just working on creating those micro fractures in the bone. Okay, so here. Now, what happens if you have a traditional background? And as a traditionalist, I'm not a huge fan of punching with my knuckles. I know what a jaw or teeth can do to my knuckles. I'm a much bigger fan of open hand striking. One of my favorite techniques is striking with the wrist. And this is great for that. So you want to train those back knuckles. You're here. You want to train the wrist. You can train the wrist. You want to train knife hand. You can train knife hand. But once again, we are not trying to kill the back. If you damage yourself and you can't train, I know I sound like a broken record right now, but I know somebody out there is going to do too much, too fast, and not be able to continue their training. Next, on toughening. So, what have we done? We've done front knuckles. We've done back knuckles on both sides. We've done forearms. We've done shins. I don't know if this one would be toughening or if this one would be considered strength. I'll leave it up to y'all. Fingertips. Fingertips. One of my favorite techniques in Krav is a spear hand jab. In traditional martial arts, we have a Quan Su. In Kung Fu, we have like a little finger strike to the eyes. But nobody ever spends time conditioning their fingers. Easiest way to do this is once again in that push-up position. You don't want to do push-ups, do it against the wall. And what you have to do is it's simple. Just catch yourself on the wall. I know you're not going to be able to see all of this, especially what I'm about to talk about, but just try to get what you will out of it. But really focus on just staying on those fingertips. Staying on those fingertips. And once again, you get a little bit more proficient, you can start pushing off and doing things like catching yourself on the wall. The key to fingertips, make sure your fingertips are here. A lot of people have the tendency of resting on the pads of their fingers and see how the knuckles are going the wrong way. You need to make sure that when you do this, your knuckle is up and you are just on the edge of the fingertip, not on the pad. Okay, let's move on because I'm quickly running out of time, and frankly, these are all things that I wasn't even really planning on covering tonight. Next on the agenda, so fingertips, knuckles, knife hand, back of the wrist, forearm, elbow. We covered all those things. This one is a good partner drill if you have a partner. If not, you can do it on your own. You'll see this done in movies a lot of times where the guy hands behind his head and just starts taking shots to the ribs. We talked about ribs earlier, but ribs are a great area to really focusing on your toughening because they are exposed. And a little shot to your diaphragm, a little shot to that solar plexus, you catch a bad kick to the ribs, can take you out of the fight. So the best way to train this is, of course, have a partner kick you in the riblets, someone you trust. But if you don't have a partner, notice how I'm not using the stick for this one. It's a little bit, in my opinion, too small diameter. I'm just going with a little bit of a broader handle, and it's simply here. And just work the body, work around the whole area. Now, I don't know if you heard me breathing a second ago, but if I take a shot to the body, I'm gonna exhale. You know, the reason being is that if you get hit, it's gonna knock the air out of you. Why fight that? The problem is if you try to fight that technique, you're gonna have trouble getting your second wind, so to speak, back. But if you take the hit and exhale with it, your lungs are gonna naturally wanna fill up. So don't fight the hit, take the hit. Okay, another way to train this is just hammer fist. Hammer fist the whole area of your ribs. You can have a partner do this, whatever. I like to focus on my lower ribs because if anything's gonna break, chances are it's gonna be one of the lower ribs. Now that's one of the reasons why I keep my hands down low, because I know those ribs are gonna be weaker. But a lot of people, when they get in a fight, they tense up, hands come up, leaving those ribs exposed. So I myself am gonna focus on the lower ribs. This drill is good, especially when you're first starting out, because you control how hard you get hit. You control how hard you get hit. Because I do not recommend doing this with somebody that you don't trust, basically with your life. I mean, they could just be having an off day and hit you a little bit too hard, and that's all she wrote, and you're out of training. So anyway, and just, holy crap, I just saw myself on camera, I look like a gorilla, and now my son's laughing at me. Hey, go, I'm not done teaching. So anyway, yeah, just work the whole body. Work the whole body. Now, sorry, if you have we're coming to the end of class, so if you have a question, please leave a question. Let me close with my closing remarks now. There's an amazing book out there Hopefully they'll become a sponsor, just kidding. But there's an amazing book out there that I bought one day because I thought it would be a cute, fun little read. It's called Becoming Batman. I thought it would be just a fun little, cute little book to read. No, 90% of that book, right over my head. It was written by a doctor who's a martial artist, and a lot of the science in there was a little bit over my head. But I did take this away. I did take this away. And that is, your body can only have 100% density. 100% density. What's that mean? If my ribs break, average ribs break at 750, but yet mine break at like 950, that's what? Somebody's going to do the math later and make fun of me in the comments. 120% increase, something like, or 20% increase, something along those lines. But I just said that bone density can only be 100%. So somewhere that bone density is being leached from somewhere else. So when you train specifically for what you are doing and what you are training for. Prime example of how specific training works. Dexter, since you're not listening and you came out here, bring me a board, please. Run, go get me a board. But for instance, if you like elbows, a specific way to train is get down on the ground and just simply throw elbows. If that's your cup of tea, train elbows. Me personally, Me personally, I'm a huge fan of headbutts. I love headbutts in any self-defense scenario. Because you got to remember, 9 times out of 10, this is where they're going to be. Headbutt is a great the headbutt area. Over and over again. So train for what specifically works for you. But guys, I'm going to close with this. This is my last Thursday night online class. Next week, we're back up and running. So, chances are classes will be moved to Wednesday evening. Still going to do both, still going to do Tansudo, still going to do Krav, and then chances are I'll be doing one just quick little blurb. Any questions? Do not hesitate to leave them in the comments, because I will be getting to them, because online classes are not going away. I may not be a huge fan of these, but I have gotten a lot of feedback, so we're going to keep them going. But anyway, if you liked, please leave a like. If you really liked, then please subscribe. But other than that, guys, y'all have a great evening, and I will see y'all next week. Dismissed.